The hostess stepped in front of me and held up her hand. "I'm sorry, sir. You're not on the list." For a second, I honestly thought she was joking. Through the wide glass doors of the Riverside Grill, I could see blue and silver balloons floating near the ceiling. Laughter spilled out in bursts. A long table sagged under the weight of gifts. And right in the middle of it all, standing on a chair, smiling like the world had never heard him, was my grandson, 0.8 years old, my best friend, celebrating his birthday with 80 strangers. "I think there's been a mistake," I said calmly. "I'm his grandfather." The hostess glanced down at her tablet again, her smile tightening. "I've checked, sir. Your name isn't there." That's when the confusion turned into something colder. I had paid for this party. Every plate, every drink, every balloon, $6,500. I could still see my daughter's face when she cashed the check 2 weeks earlier. The hug, the thank you, the promise that I'd be right there when he blew out the candles. Now I was standing outside, looking in. "My grandson's right there," I said softly, pressing my palm against the glass. He hadn't seen me yet. "I'm sorry," the hostess repeated. "I can't let you in." I stepped back, my chest tight, and that's when it hit me. She hadn't forgotten me. MY daughter had erased me. So I thought, reaching into my pocket for my phone, this is how it's going to be. Before I tell you what happened next, let me say this. If you've ever been cut out by a family you sacrificed everything for, let me know where you're watching from. And if stories about betrayal and injustice hit close to home, subscribe. Some details are changed for privacy, but the emotions, the choices, and the consequences are real. The doors open suddenly. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Kimberly snapped as she stepped out, heels sharp against the tile. Merrick followed right behind her, already wearing that polite smile he saved for people he didn't respect. I looked past him through the glass, just in time to see someone gently guide my grandson away from the door before he could turn around. That hurt more than being stopped. "I came to watch him blow out his candles," I said. "You promised." "We had to cap it at 80, Merrick said smoothly. "Fire code." I glanced at the room full of tailored suits and glittering dresses. Funny how all your business associates made it. They're friends. Kimberly said quickly. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small brass compass I carried everywhere. Old, scratched, engraved with the words I'd given my grandson last Christmas. "Always find your way home. Gramps, I don't need a seat," I said. "I'll stand in the back." Kimberly crossed her arms. "You're embarrassing us." That's when I understood. T.O. them, I wasn't family tonight. I was a reminder to a retired firefighter with scarred hands, a small house, an old truck in the parking lot, proof of where they came from, and something they didn't want seen. That I nodded slowly. "I hope the $6,500 makes this party everything you wanted," I said quietly. For the first time, Merrick's smile faltered. I turned and walked away. No shouting, no scene, just the door closing behind me. Some losses don't announce themselves loudly. They arrive quietly and change everything. I sat in my truck for 15 minutes. It felt like hours. That MY hands shook on the steering wheel. Tears came fast, hot and humiliating. I didn't wipe them away. I heard Margaret's voice like she was sitting beside me. "Promise me you'll always be there for them." 22 years of sacrifice rushed back. 3 jobs, missed vacations, selling my vintage motorcycle, so Kimberly could have the wedding she wanted. Every time I chose less so she could have more. My phone buzzed. Kimberly, ignored. Merrick, ignored. Then a voicemail came through. Merrick's voice, calm and dismissive. She always gets over it, always forgives, always comes back. Something in me went still. I wiped my face and made the first call. Frank answered on the second ring. "You don't sound okay." I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "You're not wrong for finally stopping." The second call was a Hawthorne, my financial advisor. "Stop the check." I said, $3,700 still pending, he replied. "Done." The deposit, $2,800, had already cleared. I let it go. Then I said, "My grandson's education fund." He paused. $25,000. Put it in a protected trust. No access. Not from them. It's done. The third call was to Carlos, the restaurant manager. I'd helped him years earlier when his mother was sick, never asked for anything back. Carlos, I said. He didn't hesitate. Say the word. 5 minutes later, dinner service was suspended, and no food, no candles, no celebration. That MY phone wouldn't stop buzzing after that. Unknown numbers, missed calls, panic. What I didn't know yet was that my grandson was standing on a chair, refusing to blow out his candles, calling my name. And I didn't know yet that someone unexpected was already on their way, with proof that would change everything. The house on Elm Avenue was too quiet when I stepped inside. No television, no footsteps overhead, just the soft hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my boots on the old wooden floor. I set my keys down on the same hook I'd used for 30 years and stood there longer than I needed to, letting the silence settle. The fridge was still covered in photos at a fishing trip, me and Ethan both grinning, his hands barely able to hold the rod. Kimberly's graduation, her head on my shoulder, Margaret standing beside us, thin but smiling. That was before the cancer took over. 8 months. That's all it took on her last night. Margaret had held my hand and said, "Promise me you'll take care of Kimberly, no matter what." I kept that promise even when it cost me everything. Ethan looked just like me at that age. Same dark eyes, same stubborn chin. Saturday mornings, we'd work in the garage together. Me sanding wood, him asking 1,000 questions. I taught him how to measure twice and cut once. He taught me how to laugh again. I opened a drawer and found a crayon drawing, stick figures, a crooked house, a sun in the corner, and in uneven letters, my hero, Grandpa Gregory, MY chest tightened. Kimberly had told me months ago that Ethan stopped hanging his drawings at home. Said Merrick told him it didn't match the decor. I sat down hard in the kitchen chair. Then the pattern came into focus. Last Thanksgiving, eating a frozen turkey meal alone while they had plans. Saturday visits slowly disappearing. Merrick telling Ethan my house was old and outdated. Ethan's small voice pushing back. But I like Gramps' house. It smells like cookies and wood. It wasn't accidents that IT was a campaign. I went out to the garage and froze. Tucked behind a toolbox was the same crayon drawing, creased, worn, loved. Ethan had hidden it here. That's when I said out loud to the empty space, "No more. I'm done making myself invisible." Before I tell you who knocked on my door at 9 o'clock that night, with proof, type home in the comments. I need to see my people. Some moments are dramatized, but the truth underneath is real. The knock came right on time. When I opened the door, it was Merrick's mother, Vanessa. She'd always been sharp, condescending. Tonight, she looked unsure. "I need to talk to you," she said. We sat at the table. Her hands trembled as she slid her phone across to me. A text thread. Merrick and Kimberly planning to exclude me. Talking about phasing out visits. Calling my home beyond depressing. Saying they needed to limit Ethan's exposure to lower expectations. Kimberly had told Vanessa I'd agreed not to come. Vanessa swallowed hard. Merrick did this before. To his own grandfather. Cut him off. Said he was embarrassing. He died alone in a nursing home. Merrick didn't even go to the funeral. Her voice broke. I forgave him. I thought he'd change. That's when my phone started lighting up again. Carlos called. Guests were leaving. Dinner never came. Ethan realized I wasn't there. Asked his mother why. Then climbed onto a chair and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "This isn't a real birthday without Gramps." He pushed the cake away. Looked at Merrick and said, "You're mean. You made Gramps go away." My brave boy. The next morning, Frank and his wife Linda showed up with biscuits. I cried into Linda's shoulder like I hadn't since Margaret died. I told him everything. Frank reminded me I'd helped them when they were drowning 7 years ago. Linda told me Ethan talked about me constantly at Little League. Mrs. Patterson next door leaned over a fence and said, "You're worth twice what that son-in-law will ever be." Carlos called again. Word had spread I hadn't lost a life. I'd just been distracted from a point 3 days past. No word from Kimberly that I fixed a loose step, had coffee with friends, stopped waiting to be invited. Then Wednesday afternoon, her car was in my driveway. She came in wrecked. No makeup, eyes swollen. She started apologizing, but I didn't rush to comfort her. I let her cry. I waited. When we sat, I chose a chair across from her, not beside her. The space mattered. She told me everything. How it started after Merrick's promotion. How small suggestions became rules. How he threatened divorce and full custody. 2 weeks of fighting over the invitation. I thought I could manage both, she whispered. Then she said the words that broke me. Ethan thinks you don't love him anymore. I cried 3 times since Margaret died. Once when her casket closed. Once when Ethan was born. And then, right there, she told me what happened after I left. Ethan watching the door all night. Hiding the compass. Checking it every night. Afraid I didn't want him anymore. I told her my conditions. Thursday afternoons. Therapy. Accountability. Boundaries. And if I'm ever made to feel less than again, I said steady, I'm done. She hugged me. I let her. But I didn't hold on. 0.8 months later. Everything looked different. She left Merrick. Therapy started. Payments came early. Thursdays became sacred. Week 3. Ethan pulled out the compass and whispered, I don't have to hide this anymore. We baked, built birdhouses, fished. I missed you so much, Grandpa, he said one afternoon that I stopped waiting to be chosen on his 9th birthday. He asked for the party at my house. Just family, 10 people, pizza, a cake from the neighborhood bakery. Merrick came, apologized, knelt, owned his pattern. Ethan held up the compass and said, we're all home now. 10 people instead of 80. A garage instead of fancy restaurant. Exactly where I belonged. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss the next story. See you in the next video.